Hi, I am washing the dishes, but let's talk a little bit about sacrifices when pursuing your passion. I'm sure you heard it a lot as well, where people talk about the sacrifices that they had to make in order to make it in their career, whether that's an artist or a top athlete or somebody who is in a corporate job. It's kind of the theme that comes up a lot, especially in high performing individuals. So it bears the question, like, how much do you need to sacrifice? Do you have to sacrifice? Or can you make it without sacrifice at all? I think when it comes to defining sacrifice in the first place, it really comes down to things that you wish you could still have, but you choose to let go of in order to make more time or create more energy or have more money for the thing that you're actually, like the goal, the mission that you're pursuing. And for musicians, I think there's multiple ways to go about it for artists. And you only really found out which is the right way by, first of all, doing research and seeing if other people have done that. But really even more so by just experimenting and doing it yourself. And if you fail, then you know it's probably the wrong path. But if you don't fail, then hey, you may have discovered a brand new path. I do think there's certain sacrifices that you need to make, but it all depends on whether that specific thing is a sacrifice to you, you know? Somebody might say that you need to invest a lot of time in your music and therefore sacrifice a lot of your time that you would otherwise spend on, I don't know, going out with your friends or watching movies or other things that one may label as indulgent. But really, if you don't really give a shit about those things, then is it a sacrifice at all? Therefore, sacrifice is probably really unique. Come to think of it, the things that I see as sacrificial are probably very different to what you see as sacrifice, are very different to what the people we look up to saw as sacrifice, and so on and so forth. Something that I see as sacrifice is I really love Formula One. But I saw that it was eating up a lot of my time that I would otherwise be able to spend on music and other pursuits that are more long-term oriented. So I chose to set up some boundaries with Formula One. Now, I wish I could say that I stopped watching it and I'm that disciplined and that committed. Look at me making this huge sacrifice, giving up on the sport that I love so much. But nah, I just made sure that I don't watch any sessions that are non-competitive. But the competitive sessions, I'm hooked. It's very difficult for me to skip on any of them. And I watch them in full every time. And if I don't get to watch them in full, I feel deprived. So that's one of the sacrifices that I made. It's not like a huge sacrifice. It's not like I couldn't watch it at all or I had to fucking risk my life or anything like that. But it was a sacrifice that seemed significant to me at the time of letting go of watching those test sessions and all those little details that when you really get into a sport, you start to love those details, and I had to choose to miss out on those in order to have more time to spend on my music and my other pursuits, such as my finances and my self-development. And yeah, that sometimes it sucks, I cannot lie. But that's an example of a smaller sacrifice, I would say. Another sacrifice that I made recently was letting go of a job that I was working, because I was working 2 jobs, and I noticed that, okay, even though in the short term working 2 jobs gives me more financial freedom, so to say, it's not gonna lead to that in the long term, because I'll just keep on being an employee on a path where I don't see any growth. So I chose to let go of one of my jobs, and even though my income is lower because of that, I will have more freedom to build long-term projects that will hopefully increase my income in the long term. such as building a business and investing in my brand as a musician and investing in my skill as a musician and an artist and a marketeer even. Because at the end of the day, that's also part of being a music artist. It's, yeah, you got this product that you got your talent, you got your own unique style of making music, but how do you actually get that to the people that want to listen to that stuff and that it will make an impact upon? If you don't learn the skill of marketing or find somebody who can actually do that for you, I think you're pretty much fucked. Regardless of how good your music is, if nobody gets to hear it, then, especially if you got the ambition of being a commercial artist, then who are you making it for? Like, what are you making it for? Unless you want to make it purely for the sake of making it, and if so, then hey, more power to you. And I think that's beautiful because you're way more independent of the outcome. Another sacrifice that I chose to make was giving up on certain foods and like certain indulgences because I knew it would tank my energy, and that energy I wanted to use it for making more music and eventually and ultimately rather, the more energy I had, the more creative energy I had, the more able I was, or the better able I was to create more music. And also let my mind just go that creator route where I think my mind is in the best place when it is able to create and to strategize and to think in new ideas. But I like I like having a snack. I like sleeping in. I like going out, and I love cocktails. But I installed certain boundaries to make sure that I wouldn't overstep on these things and these indulgences. Oh man, one of those indulgences is YouTube. I absolutely love YouTube to death. Like, it's my favorite platform. I love watching way too many YouTube videos, long form content. Just sit back, relax, especially with a nice snack or something like that. Oh, it's a dream to me. Like, I love that shit. It's crazy. Like, I get so happy even thinking about it. But I decided to put up a boundary to not indulge in those YouTube videos because even though I love them so much, they take away so much time from me because I impulsively watch them when I don't feel like working on other projects. Like when I run into some sort of resistance or a plateau in a project that is meaningful to me, but at the same time it's hard, I would escape to YouTube and just be like, oh, okay, I'll just watch some YouTube videos, just relax a little bit because I feel like I need it. But then ultimately what ended up happening is I would just binge on YouTube for at least an hour. And that's a conservative stat, but usually more like 2 to 3 hours. And then if this was work that I was doing in the evening, it would just be a wrap because by the time I was done, I would just be tired and I'd go to bed, you know? So I chose to install a standard for myself, a boundary, a principle to not watch YouTube in that way, not use it for leisure. I'll still use it for education, but for leisure, it's like a loaded gun, handing a loaded gun to a child. And I'm the child and YouTube is a loaded gun. I'll just shoot everywhere and everything will be a mess, and it's dangerous because I did not go for my goals, you know? Because it's easy to escape to when things get hard. I'll give you an example, like when composing and writer's block comes up, right? Let's say for instance, this shit is a little dirty. Still. Let's say for instance, I'm writing and a melody comes to me. I'm able to write a verse. I'm able to write like a hook or a chorus. but then I also want a bridge in there or a solo. And even though the chorus and the verse, they came out just like that, I'm really struggling with the bridge or the solo. And I'm trying different concepts, I get frustrated, and it's clear that I'm experiencing some sort of writer's block. Well, my solution in the past was to go on YouTube and just kind of forget about that whole struggle and just escape, basically. And it's not, oh, let's forget about it for a sec, let my brain just kind of take a break. No, it was, let me just watch something and then keep on watching until I don't feel like watching anymore. But because I loved YouTube so much, I wouldn't stop watching. So 2 to 3 hours would pass by easily, and the song would be no better for it. Still no bridge. And then I go to bed feeling dissatisfied with myself because I know from previous experiences where I did push through that plateau that eventually something would come to me. But it's just that uncomfortability of that writer's block that made me want to escape into something easier. And I think that's very relevant in today's society, where so much of the commodities and the apps and everything that we have access to are built around comfort. So it's so easy to escape into some sort of comfort when you actually got projects that you want to work on that mean a lot to you. But when they get hard, you just choose to escape anyway because it's so accessible. And therefore, I think that one must have boundaries or at least a system in place for working with these comfort temptations, whether that's social media, YouTube, as I had it, or food, or just the easy way out in whatever way it is, you know? Because if you don't have anything in place, you're giving away your agency. You're giving away your free choice and you're giving away your creative energy, because even when you run into some sort of writer's block, there's still some sort of momentum there of being in a creative state. You're a creative being in that moment. And if you forfeit that by becoming a consumer, you kill that momentum. And sometimes you don't really go back to the sensation and that cocktail of emotions you felt when you were writing in the first place. And then you lose the essence of the song, and then the project just kind of falls apart. At least that's what I've experienced. But maybe you guys are better at discipline than I am. Please let me know if you do or have any strategies for this. But my strategy is basically have some sort of blocker on the apps that you tend to escape to. For me, that's YouTube. And to an extent Netflix, but only if I already am watching a show. But YouTube is the main culprit. And then just block it and find some sort of way of reminding yourself that it's not part of what you're here for. It's not part of your life to escape to these comfort fields whenever shit goes wrong. And I think there's definitely time for rest and recovery and just indulgence. But it shouldn't come when you're feeling bad about not making progress. I think you should plan for your indulgence and your rest and earn it to some extent to keep a good rapport with yourself. And that's something that I can definitely go deeper into, like that philosophy, but I'm choosing not to do that right now. And I'm choosing also not to make this video too long. So if you're watching this, I want to thank you a lot for watching this, because it's just a stream of consciousness. And it's probably not the most coherent, but still, thank you so much for watching. Got any thoughts? Just make sure to leave them, and I'll definitely check them out. Bye-bye.